Wholesaling commercial real estate. It seems impossible, right? As a single family residential real estate wholesaler who's used to putting $100 down on earnest money and only deals with sellers, this might seem impossible. But in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to wholesale commercial real estate. I'm going to give you a step-by-step breakdown today on actually how to wholesale apartment complexes, actual commercial buildings like the ones you see at doctor's offices, nail salons, things like that. And I'm also going to show you actually how to wholesale vacant lots to flip to national tenants like Dunkin' Donuts and Popeyes. I'm going to show you exactly how to find and wholesale these type of properties so you can make a big profit. Again, the reason why you want to get into commercial real estate wholesaling is because the spreads are a lot bigger. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Commercial real estate wholesaling is way tougher and it requires a lot more work than doing regular residential real estate wholesaling. So if you're brand new, some of these strategies are going to be a little more advanced than you're used to, but I think it's very important for you to open your eyes on everything about real estate wholesaling. I'm not a traditional real estate wholesaler. I'm not strictly doing single family houses. I've done commercial real estate before, and I think it's really important to open everyone's eyes on becoming an actual complete real estate investor. That's really what I love to teach about. So in today's video, again, I'm going to show you exactly how to find and wholesale commercial real estate. So while watching this video, I want you to understand that the information I'm giving you is the literal exact same information that people will go to a $4,000 seminar for 4 days and learn exactly how to wholesale commercial real estate. So I'm giving you all this information absolutely for free that all these big commercial real estate gurus like to charge for. So if you can, we're starting a movement here, actually giving all this content for free. So if you can just please smash that like button and subscribe so I can leak out all the information all these gurus are charging thousands of dollars for, I'd really appreciate it. It motivates me to give more of this content out. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Wholesaling commercial real estate requires a lot more knowledge and a lot more work, frankly, than with traditional residential real estate wholesaling. I stumbled on residential real estate wholesaling, single family houses at 17 years old. I was making $20,000 little profit deals, making $100,000 in high school just flipping single family houses. It's a lot easier and it's extremely simple to do. And that is what most of my videos are on this channel. But there's been a huge need from my subscribers and really the whole wholesaling industry in general on making bigger spreads and doing a lot tougher deals. With those tougher deals, you can easily make 25, 50, 75 and even $100,000 assignments. I've also seen guys make $200,000 on assignments with the right commercial wholesaling deal. So I'm going to break down exactly how to do it in painful detail. So sorry for this, but I'm going to go into painful detail on this. I literally sat down here and I decided I want to give you an entire $3,000 4-day seminar condensed into this video. So take your notepads out, get ready, and let's get into it. First type of commercial real estate that you can make big profits on wholesaling wise is apartment complexes. This is probably one of the first things you thought of when it came to wholesaling commercial real estate. And this is where you get the biggest paydays. And this is where you can actually make that long-term generational wealth cash flow for you and your family. If that excites you, let's get into it. So here's a quick example. This is how you're going to wholesale a 10-unit apartment complex. So we're not going to get into a crazy 500 unit, huge, crazy, like A-grade commercial units. This is going to be a little smaller, but these are little ones that you can make quick $50,000 to $100,000 assignments. So for a 10-unit apartment complex, the first thing you're going to want to do is find a landlord. You don't want to buy these units on the market. Most likely, if you want to get the biggest profits possible and get the best chance of getting a deal, you want to find these deals that are off market. One guy I actually read a lot on that really gives a lot of free content out there is Peter Conti. I read a lot of his books starting out in the industry about 4 years ago, and I really learned a lot from him. And the one thing I did learn from him when it came to wholesaling commercial apartment complexes is you really want to find these quote unquote lazy landlords. So these lazy landlords are landlords that money is not the biggest issue in the world for them. Their net worth is in the millions. They own so much commercial real estate. And honestly, they would frankly just rather have less work, make the same amount of money, than turn up the work a little more and raise rents and do stuff like that. So these people are called lazy landlords. They've owned the property for 10 to 20 plus years. They're not taking great care of the property. It seems a little too much work for them to actually do a little maintenance on the actual units. And most importantly with the lazy landlord, they hate turnover because that requires work. So we want to find landlords. The number one thing to do when finding a lazy landlord is you want to find a landlord who doesn't raise the rents at all, because they don't want to have any turnover when it comes to their tenants. So when you don't raise the rents on your actual commercial real estate, you don't have to do as much maintenance. That's why they do this. That is the perfect lazy landlord to go after. Now you might be screaming at me like, Zach, how do I actually find the type of landlords? And that is the $1 million question. That is probably one of the hardest parts about wholesaling commercial real estate, especially when it comes to apartment complexes, is finding the actual lazy landlords here. And honestly, the best way to do it is to pull a list of all the apartment complexes in your county, city, or target market and actually do a printed letter signing it, basically stating that, hey, I'm actually looking to buy a couple more apartment complexes for all cash. If this is something you'd be interested in, please give me a call back. Again, you can do a whole letter on it, make it as professional as possible, but really make it your own and make it as personal as possible. Make sure you hand sign the thanks part. So it says thanks. You're going to sign your name. So for example, it'd be Zach Ginn. Actually do the signature on that. They'll say Zach Ginn on the bottom of it, and then just put your LLC on it. Make sure it looks really professional. If I did John City Home Buyers as the bottom, it's not going to look good. It'll probably have to be something like John Smith Capital or something like that to make it seem more professional. If you don't have that type of company, then don't do that. But if you do, it will give you a little better credibility and advantage. So once we have a conversation with these landlords, they definitely have to be in a perfect situation. Now, this is like wholesaling real estate in San Francisco or Los Angeles or something crazy. These properties are a lot more difficult to get deals on and to structure them. But once you do, you'll get amazing paydays. So don't be expecting to do like 4 deals like this a month. This is something that maybe you do 1 to 2 of these a year. That's really where I'm at. There's not a lot of apartment complexes where I'm at here on the Treasure Coast here in Florida. Probably if I lived in Dallas or something, I can do a lot more of these. But really, the true value in this stuff is actually meeting the sellers in person and actually physically being on these. Now, you can virtually do this, but it is a million times harder. So where I'm at, it's a lot harder to do. You can't do 10 of these a month like we do in residential real estate. So it's a little more difficult, but the paydays are amazing. You can obviously make millions of dollars per year doing this and only doing maybe 1 deal a month. So it's absolutely amazing to do. You can do 50 of these a month. Just click out of this video. It's not possible. Anyone telling you that's possible is really putting false thoughts in your head. But if you just focus, especially on 1 deal that you get and you got a seller like this and put your efforts into it, you can change your life on this. So I'm going to show you exactly at the end here on the apartment complexes how to build that generational wealth with no money out of your pocket. So once we talk to the landlord, we understand that he is qualified, he's a lazy landlord, he doesn't like raising the rents. What we're going to do next is we're going to get all the information on that apartment complex as possible. We want to know who the tenants are. We want to know how much they're paying in rents. We want to know the cost of the maintenance, everything on the property. We're going to get the entire cost analysis on it. Now, this is where it's a little different than wholesaling residential real estate. There's a lot going on here. We're really going to have to get all the information, and we're going to get a lot more advanced here. If you're really new to real estate wholesaling, please, this is a lot more high level, but it'll open your mind to become a complete real estate investor. You're going to get all the information that you can from this lazy landlord. You're going to get it all listed out, statements, stubs, making sure that the renters are paying. Once you get all that, you can do your own cost analysis. You're going to look at comps around the area and see actually how much they're going to rent for. Again, if he's not raising the rents, this is the opportunity as us wholesalers, we can make a profit. So if the whole unit is giving you $8,000 per month in rent, and he hasn't raised the rents at all, and you know the market value right there is about $10,000, we know that we have a little bit of arbitrage going on here, that we can actually get $10,000 for it, and it's really renting for $8,000. So this is huge for us. Now we have 2 options here. Once we find out there's actually some arbitrage we can make, we can do 2 things. Now this is the most difficult part, is deciding what to do. Now you can do the traditional wholesaling model, and this gets a little more difficult in my opinion, is where, hey John, I saw all the rent rolls. I think this is something I think I could do. It needs a lot of work, and then you get the negotiations. You know, it's a little funny to say, but it always puts a smile on my face talking about offers on commercial real estate, because I'm used to giving $100,000, $150,000 offers, and I'm like, well, would you be open to like 2.4 million? It just sounds crazy to say, but it's absolutely crazy. So you can have a conversation with the seller, and you can honestly just put it under contract like you usually do. Find a cash buyer, bring the cash buyer through, and make a profit in between that. In my opinion, it's a lot more difficult because it's hard to bring a cash buyer through all the apartment complexes, and there's always risk that you can get in trouble. Again, you're probably gonna have to put a really big down payment if you do something like that. So it's a little more stressful. They're gonna expect $20,000, $40,000, and $50,000 earnest money. And I know that most of us don't have that. So if you do have $50,000 to put in earnest money and you put a nice due diligence in there, you can get that money back. So it's not really the biggest deal in the world. So hey, you can do that. If you're a lot newer and you actually don't have the money, what you can do is go to that lazy landlord and say, I'd love to put the $30,000 deposit down. I really want to do it after the inspection period so I don't tie up all of our capital. You can try that. The lazy landlord might call you on your bluff there and you could lose the deal from that. So just have that in mind. The other option we can do is actually do it sort of like a lease option. What you can do is a commercial master lease, which is basically a lease option, but it's a lot more advanced. Please look it up yourself. I don't want to do a 10-hour video on this. It's really a lease option with the commercial piece of real estate there. So how it works, there's a down payment, payments every single month you'll do on that, and then you'll just cash them out at the end, whatever the terms are. Just like a lease option, you want to make sure it's at least 5 years. You can do 5, 10, 15. The more years, the even better. That's the more cash flow you can make off the property. So a lot of people don't want to risk putting $50,000 on an earnest money deposit, so they just don't do that. So they'll do the commercial master lease. And it's very similar to the lease option again, so get a little more advanced on that one. But what you want to do when you offer that is, like I've said before, when you actually comes to just putting under contract, do that traditional wholesaling. If you figure out the comps are coming at 2.5 million and you offer them 2.4 million and you sell it for 2.5, you make $100,000 profit like that. But that's the first part. So when it actually comes to actually figuring out what to offer on the commercial master lease, what you literally want to do is just offer the market value. That's why I love it so much. So when you actually do the traditional one, like I've said, you offer 2.4 and 2.5 is what they'll sell for. Most guys are not going to budge on that. When they own the commercial, they're going to want more than what the thing's even worth on it. So that's always an issue. But when it comes to the commercial master lease, you can really offer market value. But here's the thing. If their actual rents right now are $8,000, offer them $8,000 and you know the arbitrage is $10,000. So that's how you get the discount. At the end of the purchase price, it really doesn't matter because you're getting payments on it. So make it market value, the full 2.5 million, for example, and then the down payment, what you think your cash buyer is going to have. Again, you want to have the cash buyer before you even find these properties, and I'm going to show you exactly how to at the end there. But you do the full market value, you do what they're having in rents right now. And what you're going to do next is you're going to do some analysis. You're going to do a pro forma. And what you're going to do is show a cash buyer that, hey, I see this is renting right now for $8,000. It's actually worth $10,000. So if you give me, $50,000 for this actual whole commercial master lease, I'll walk away and you profit big time by having such a discounted rent. And you can make a crazy arbitrage at the $10,000 versus the $8,000. And that's how you can make the profit on there, but it's called the pro forma. Please look it up. It's a lot more advanced and it's honestly an hour video to really talk about. So overall, you're just going to show that you can raise rents, reduce expenses, and increase their NOI, which is their net operating income. That's the most important part with this cash buyer for this commercial transaction. And now when you get that commercial master lease done, you can put everything together. I recommend you sort of get with a lawyer with this one, making sure it's as good as possible. Again, you can use a traditional contract to purchase real estate, but you just got to add in your own things with it. But when it really comes to using a commercial real estate, you want to be as professional as possible. And if you're making $100,000, it's probably best to use a lawyer done for your specific state on a commercial master lease, because there's not one size fits all when it comes to this stuff. So maybe use a lawyer for it. And trust me, if you're new in this business, it'll cost you maybe $200 to $300 to get one written up from a lawyer. And if you're gonna make $70,000 and you know that you have a huge profit potential on your hands there, it's 100% worth it. You can use a free one again, but I want you to get the best chance possible making this $100,000 commercial deal. So use one. And now once we get that locked up, we have two options. Now finding the cash buyer is literally the easiest part. I recommend maybe just go to PropStream, find cash transactions on commercial real estate and cold call your butt off, skip trace them, use batch leads, use whoever you really want. Once you have that commercial master lease, literally the two options you have is you can assign it. Literally just say, cash buyer, pay me $75,000 and you can just take this. I'll literally just give you this commercial master lease for you, and just figure out what you want. At minimum, with a nice commercial master lease, when you have an arbitrage there, you should at minimum make $30,000. Anything less than that, then the cash buyer is really gypping you there. But that is the minimum you should take on there. But then you got to make a decision. Should I take $75,000 now? Or what if I go to that cash buyer and say, this is a really good deal and I want you to save as much money possible, fixing up this place or getting the best ROI possible. I think you get a better ROI if you use that $75,000 you're going to give to me, put it into doing X, Y, and what you would do in exchange is get 10 to 15% of the entire deal. Now, why am I saying that? Because if you own part of that real estate, that will be generational wealth for you. And that could be technically your assignment fee. So you can do that too, and you get part of that deal, you get cash flow every single month. So you have those two options. Usually the cash buyer is going to say, hey, here's $75,000. I don't want you to own part of the deal either. But sometimes they will. That is literally how you wholesale like a 10-unit apartment complex, for example. Let me actually show you how to wholesale other types of commercial real estate. For example, a doctor's office, a nail salon, a barbershop, a dentist place. So you can do sort of what I did before. You can do the lazy landlord method and try to get a commercial master lease, things like that. But it's a lot less attractive, in my opinion, to a cash buyer when it comes to maybe one nail salon. You'll make a lot less money on the assignment there. But also what you can do is those little buildings, you can actually find them on the market and deal with foreclosures on there and still make a profit. So a really good way to actually find these are REOs. So that is a bank-owned property that took over the place. So for example, I know just driving through Port St. Lucie, Florida, basically where I live in that area, I drive through, for example, there's one right on one of the major intersections, and there's this Wendy's. And that Wendy's, before COVID in 2020, they were booming. They're doing really well. Honestly, when this pandemic hit, they got absolutely walloped. And now that Wendy's is literally boarded up, it's empty, there's nothing going on there. And I know for a fact the bank probably took that thing over. What you can do is if you have relationships with realtors and real estate agents who list REOs and you get extremely good relationships with you. I actually got some relationships with guys who list REOs here and they can give me the scoop and give me the property before it gets listed. So technically it's still off market and that is where you can make big paydays. So getting with realtors that list REOs, let them know who you are. Those relationships will give you the best chance of getting an amazing deal. Stuff like that, you get an REO, like that Wendy's building right there. You can put that property under contract for like $800,000. You're probably gonna have to put a $25,000 earnest money they're going to request for you, especially with an REO. And when you're dealing with banks and REO agents, you're probably gonna have to get that earnest money there. Maybe you get a hard money lender who will lend you that $25,000 for the earnest money. Again, if you have enough due diligence, you can get out of the transaction, find a cash buyer, put them through there. The REO agent, he'll let you through there. Then you can assign it maybe for $900,000 or $850,000, make $50,000 to $100,000 payday there, assign, boom, you made a bunch of money. So that is actually how you can do those little commercial buildings, those rinky-dink dentist office or standalone commercial real estate buildings. They are extremely hard to do. You're going to have to build relationships with your REO realtors and real estate agents. I know I talk smack sometimes about real estate agents and realtors, but honestly, you can make a lot of money with them. So I do recommend you build relationships with them there. Now we're going to get into actually one of the best ways to make money in commercial real estate wholesaling, and that is wholesaling commercial vacant lots and land. Everyone loves wholesaling vacant land, but if you wholesale commercial vacant land, you're set to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when it comes to wholesaling vacant commercial land, honestly, you're just going to look for vacant land by busy intersections. What you want to find eventually, this is kind of reverse engineering it, but our cash buyer on this transaction is going to be someone who wants to be a landlord or actually going to physically own the building of a national franchise. So we're going to want to find land that is suitable for maybe a Dunkin' Donut, KFC, a Long John Silver's, possibly a Starbucks. Vacant land that is perfect for those buildings. They're by busy intersections, stoplights with lots of traffic. Those are going to be the perfect ones for us. And I'll explain a little better. It's because them as tenants are absolutely amazing and you can actually get commitments. It's not that hard. Finding these big tenants and franchisees are absolutely amazing because you can get their numbers absolutely for free with no PropStream or no skip tracing or anything like that. So that's why I love those little franchise models right there. But I'm going to show you actually how to do that. But what we want to find is vacant land like that. You can use PropStream. You can use whatever you want. ListREI.com if you want a 7-day free trial for PropStream. But there's other ways to do it. But you want to find vacant lots. Again, that's one of the hardest things to do. What you're going to want to do is actually use a letter. Again, SMS texting and cold calling. You could cold call, but to get the best credibility with these people, you're going to want to do a physical letter. And we're just going to talk to that person. And then we're going to get somebody who just has a vacant lot they just want to get rid of. And the coolest part about that, you can put a piece of property under contract for market value. Can you imagine you're just going to somebody's house and the thing's worth $200,000, you put it under contract for $200,000? How easy would that be? Now, the hardest part is actually finding the buyer and getting commitments, but literally for the seller part, that's really easy. So you find a vacant lot, you know the thing's worth $500,000, you put it under contract for $500,000. Now, don't freak out on me here. Once you put it under contract for $500,000, now you have a contract literally for market value. Now, these cash buyers are going to ask $50,000 earnest money deposit. Unfortunately, that's the truth. Again, use a hard money lender if you can, somebody that has the funds that you can borrow from. I'm not going to tell you to go out there and say, why am I having a deposit? They're going to have to know that you're serious, but you can definitely have partners with these transactions that will give you the money easily, and maybe you'll split part of the deal with them. But if they know you're legit in this business and you know what you're doing, they'll easily give it to you. So probably going to have to get a little bit of an earnest money deposit, negotiate the lowest possible, of course. And if you're doing it for market value, they'll probably be open to just doing $10,000 or something pretty small. And now we have it under contract for $500,000, which is market value. You're freaking out here that you have something under contract for market value. So how are we actually going to sell this thing? What we're going to do is we're going to add value to the property. Now, how are we going to do this? So if I go to my regular Joe Schmo cash buyer and I say, hey, John, I have this property under contract for $500,000. Can you go look at it? And he goes and looks at it and he figures out it's worth $500,000. Well, how much do you want to sell it for? And you're going to say something stupid like $600,000. And they're going to say, so you want me to buy it for $600,000 and it's worth $500,000. Now that cash buyer is going to be, number one, angry at you. And number two, they're going to think you're wasting their time. We definitely can't do that option. The second option, which we can actually sell for $600,000, we got to add $100,000 in value or $200,000 in value, is we're going to find a franchisee. And we're going to get a commitment from that big chain franchise company. We're going to get a commitment from them and they'll give me some money for it as an actual tenant. For example, if I go to my local McDonald's and I go outside, there's a little stickers out there. You don't notice them, but me as a crazy real estate person, I always notice them and I'm always obsessed on seeing what they are. It'll say owned, operated, and franchised by Lucky Star LLC, Miami, Florida, 305-664-1100. And you actually have their phone number there and you can actually call those people and say, hey, I actually have a vacant lot I'm actually buying. Probably build something to the specifications for, a McDonald's or something like that. You're going to ask them a commitment on how much they'll pay if it's the standard building, and they'll say, we usually give about $10,000. So will you commit to $10,000? You'll get that in writing. You'll just get a commitment from them on how much they'll pay for the property or how much they'll actually lease it from you as a tenant. Then you can use that as leverage to show, wow, look, this McDonald's over here, this guy, Lucky Star, he's going to pay this much per month. And then you actually increase the value because you actually have a tenant showing. So now the cash buyer can do his analysis, say, if I actually bought this for $500, I put this on there and then I rent it out for this. Wow, I'll actually get a 12% cap rate because the cap rate is the most important part with this commercial real estate cash buyers, and they'll go from there. That's one thing you can do. Also, you can actually go to that franchisee, and this is probably a lot easier than the first one, but you can go to the Lucky Star and say, hey, I see you're actually owning the real estate underneath it. For example, I can go to a KFC or Popeyes franchise and I'll call that guy Lucky Star and I'll say, hey, I actually have this property under contract. Would you be open to buying it for $525,000? I know you own the local Popeyes right there. And this one, I don't want one of your competitors buying it. And they might freak out. They'll say, wow, okay, can I give you $550,000 for it? Then you can just assign it for them and make a profit. That's another thing you can do. Again, you're going to have to get very good sales skills. At the end, if you can add value to the property or contact the right type of franchisee. So if you have a place and you know the closest franchise place there is a Starbucks, maybe you can go call the local Starbucks guy and offer it to him over his competitor, because these franchisees are actually competitors. So if you see two Burger Kings next to each other, they're actually not owned by Burger King. They're owned by two franchisees and they're actually competing in their competitors. So if you offer one and you might mention the competitor's name next to them, they might want to buy it so they don't lose value and market share in that area. That is actually how you go flip, put it under contract, and wholesale that commercial vacant lot. Again, it's a lot more advanced. I'm not doing a 10-hour training on this, but that's really how to do it. You can use a regular contract for these and regular assignment of contract form. Usually when it comes to commercial real estate, you should probably seek some legal counsel when putting the contracts together or editing them or just creating one for your specific state, because every state is completely different. But overall, guys, that is it. That is how to wholesale commercial real estate. I don't know if this video is too long. I'm trying to get into as painful detail as possible actually how to find and wholesale commercial real estate. I know my subscribers have been killing me and absolutely telling me, Zach, please, 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 can you teach me how to wholesale commercial real estate? I decided to sit down here and actually share my secrets on doing it. So that's it, guys. That's a full $4,000 4-day seminar on actually how to wholesale commercial real estate. I'm giving it absolutely for free. So if you enjoyed this, please smash that like button and subscribe. It means a lot to me. It lets me expose these big seminar courses and showing you exactly how to do it for free. So I truly appreciate you guys watching this. And if you liked it, please subscribe again, watch more videos. And I'm going to keep sharing with you actually how to make money wholesaling real estate the right way. All I want to do is give free value and content for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Have a blessed day.